Hello, it's Matt Hookings from Camelot Films with Chris Gordon on Hellblazer Biz.
Everyone, hi. I've got the honour and the privilege of the company of Matt Hookings, a return guest for me today. About 5 years, I think it was, since we've last spoken, but obviously you're here to promote your new film, Prizefighter, which is about the story of Jem Belcher, a boxer from the 1800s, I believe.
Yeah.
Or he's born in the 1800s, wasn't he?
Born in late 1700s, actually.
Wow, okay.
Late 1700s. Followed over to the early 1800s. So thanks for having me back, Chris. It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while, but things keep moving forward. So
they do, yeah. As you say, I mean, you've been really busy since we've last spoken as well. Like you say, what, 6 features you've done in that time?
I've done 5 features in 5 years. 5 features?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's really pretty impressive.
It's been non-stop. I said it's like I haven't stopped at all since we last spoke. So.
I wish I could say the same. I think when I spoke last year, 5 years ago, my mission was in 5 years I was knock James Corden off his top spot, and unfortunately, that's still not happened. I'm still trying. Maybe one day. He did turn me down 3 years ago when he was doing Peter Rabbit. I wrote to his publicist and I was just like, no. And I said, you've missed a chance. You could have had Corden and Gordon.
Good. It's a good one.
Yeah. That's fine. But yeah, as I say, I mean, 5 features in 5 years is fantastic. And obviously now we're on to the nice big one as well, nice meaty one. It's got a fascinating story. I mean, I've read the information and the background for it, and it's really intriguing. Prizefighter. And this is obviously, this is interesting how you came about the story as well, because it's kind of indirectly because of your dad, wasn't it, that you kind of ended up learning about this in a way?
Yeah. It's been a slug. It's the biggest one I've done so far, and it's just played all the whistles in this one. Just wrote it, played the lead, had an involvement in the producing. Yeah, just been crazy. But yeah, it came indirectly through my dad, who was a British heavyweight champion boxer in the 1980s, and I met someone on set who thought I looked like the spitting image of my dad, which I do. And he's sadly not here with us. He passed away. So the story of my dad through this guy that he was reading a bit about him during this trade magazine. To the left on the story of my dad was this slide about Jem Belcher. Mm-hmm. And I just got drawn in immediately because, he was the youngest ever champion at 19. He was blind at 22 and he was dead by the time he was 30. He had this kind of whirlwind of a journey. Yeah. Across a very short time frame. So I was immediately hooked, and he had this kind of Muhammad Ali reminiscence where he, spoke, dressed, acted way ahead of his time. He was just a pioneer of the sport, and, used his brain, his technique and the agility to beat fighters rather than brute strength at the time. So yeah, hooked from the get-go. Excellent.
I mean, it does sound really sort of a very charismatic type person, especially say for that period of time as well, because it's you don't hear much about, especially like boxing sports from that early for big names and stuff. So, and like you say, whirlwind. I mean, that's blind at 21 and then obviously passed away at the age of 30. It's not a very long life, but it seems he's had a very accomplished life, obviously in that sphere of time anyway, as a boxer.
Yeah, definitely rags to riches. Definitely a rags to riches story, and just fascinated with him. No one knew anything about him. He wasn't very well known in the boxing world. He wasn't very well known anywhere. He was well known at the time. He was relatively famous at the time, but now, people just don't know anything about him. So I'm kind of rebirthing a sort of, unforgotten hero as well, which is nice to kind of, give him his his moment in time.
Definitely. I mean, I kind of follow on an expansion of that is, why is it an important story to tell for you? Why do you feel this is so an important thing to tell people? And obviously bring his character. So,
I mean, there was a strong connection with myself and my own kind of inner spiritual, okay, I have to do this now. Partly because we had so many connections. It was crazy how many, connections that started forming between myself and Jem. I never actually started writing it in mind to put, with myself to play the lead role, but just these things started happening. He died on my birthday, which is the 5th of July. He's got the same mum. My mum's name is Mary. His mum's name is Mary. And, the fight at the end of the film with Henry Pierce is the same name as my dad's name, who was from Bristol. So, and he was the same height, same weight, size as me. So there was an immediate connection and something that drew me in, that I just felt like I kind of had to do this, had to write the story and play the part. I think, there's also a nice sense of, telling a true historic boxing story there's never been a boxing film set this far back ever. That was a kind of nice encouragement to maybe do something different and create something that had, an original feel about it. It wasn't just something that was we've heard or seen this story before. So there was that, that pull and attraction as well. And I think there's a really strong connection between boxing and the creative sort of world, if you want to call it, actors, writers, musicians. And I don't know, there was a really nice parallel between bringing the two together. So it was those kind of urges that directed me and kind of put me in the direction to want to make this. And also, finding out that Jem, there was no books written on him, there was nothing really available. Diehard boxing fans didn't know anything about him. So I thought, this story needs to be told, because I kind of need to do it for Jem as well, because he's disappeared essentially in history without anyone knowing about him. So and obviously I had to pick the stupidest, most challenging way to do it. In the form of a period drama, boxing film, very, male orientated, focused. It didn't, I didn't have certain things behind me that gave me a slight advantage. But I suppose that kind of adds to the journey of wanting to make it. It's like, well, okay, just because it's, male orientated sports boxing focused doesn't mean we shouldn't. Story is good. A story should be told, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I kind of read it's very much like a similar path as well, because obviously you're the lead in the character, in the film as well, and it's kind of very similar sort of way that Rocky came about with Stallone. The fact that you've battled to get to get this through and to push yourself, and you've worked so hard to get to the point where you're actually bringing this, and it is. I mean, listening to the inspiration about how you've done it as well. I mean, that must have taken a lot of research, in fairness. If there's no books about him and everything. Yeah. That must have been quite difficult.
I mean, I spent 2 years. I spent 2 years just researching and reading books. I spent probably close to a year and a half. I watched 150 boxing films from 1927, Hitchcock's first one, all the way up to modern day. So I really delved into the history. And you're right. I suppose that's another reason to want to make the film. It's got a very Rocky, Sylvester Stallone-esque type story where, there's been a lot of challenges and a lot of things to overcome. And I think, a big focus of what I'm doing now and what I'm talking about is the inspiration behind making it, the never give up attitude, work. And people think it's easy. I think people assume, because, I'm a male who's white who can just, there's loads of roles and there's loads of things available. God, it's not. It's just as tough. Yeah, everyone's just as tough, and that definitely didn't play in my favor. So I think the actual commitment and the sort of never give up attitude is part of the story to make it and the reason behind it. And that's becoming, or, you know, certainly becoming a big topic and what people are asking me about. So it's, you know, the interest is there.
Oh yeah, definitely. It means that the film's got more passion in it. So when people watch it, and if you know the backstory to it and how much you've got in there and you've moved into there, from your own personal side, you can actually connect with yourself as the filmmaker and obviously the actors, knowing that what we see on screen and the research, that, you know, how much effort has really, really gone into making sure that the story is told correctly and the story is told in a really good way as well.
Yeah, and that definitely got the heart in it. I mean, people that have seen the film have said the same thing. They just said, you know, we can feel and, you know, smell and, you know, touch the heart and the sort of passion within the story. So I'm glad that that's kind of bleeding out through.
Definitely. And great the research in all the old films as well, and from the boxing styles must have changed so much. I mean, they have changed since the 20s to now. Yeah. Not, I mean, you know, the way they, like you say, the way they fight. So obviously, if you say Jem had that sort of more modern approach to the way he boxed as well, and he was like ahead of his time. Because obviously there's no films from the 1700s to watch, but yeah, but it's great to sort of get that experience and get that wide range of different styles to obviously then incorporate and, you know, and make it your own as well. And
yeah, I mean, people have said to me I'm crazy for watching all these films, and I ended up becoming a boxer as well. I trained
right,
boxer, and I had to watch all the films. I had to find something. I had to step away and find something that hadn't been done before. I had to kind of, because everyone in a lot of the boxing films I saw, especially in the good ones, they're all doing it for someone or something. You know,
mm-hmm.
Rocky doing it for Adrian.
Yeah.
They're doing it for their daughter or their cat or whoever. And what I stepped away from Jem's story is that there was a lot of inner passion, demons. It was a lot of it was inner, and it was rooted in him that he picked up from his own generation, his grandfather, who's played by Russell Crowe, which is an amazing thing. And it was, I wanted to create something that had a kind of, you know, inner reach and an inner kind of connection, so people could go, okay, he's dealing with his own personality here, his own demons. Mm-hmm. And, you know, watching all those films, there's not been a boxing film set this far back, so that gave us a little bit of okay, that's original. Mm-hmm. There's never been one that told the story about how boxing began and its journey. You just mentioned the difference in styles.
Yeah,
we were, you know, this film gave us, and Jem's story, you know, gave me the opportunity to kind of be a little bit creative, and also mm-hmm. so the film starts in a field and it's bare knuckle and it's you know, it's bloody and it's ready. And by the end of the film, we're in a boxing ring where there's gloves and there's more rules in play. So it allowed us to kind of tell that journey. So anyone that's interested, I mean, you don't even have to be interested in boxing. You can just be interested in, how did boxing start? Which opens a different demographic and a different audience. So that was one of the things that really, you know, became clear on, you know, what we're doing and why we're doing it. And also, you know, just having that aspect of being able to create something where you're telling the beginnings or the, you know, the origins of it, I think is a nice pull.
Fantastic. It does sound really interesting. I mean, you mentioned obviously who's playing the grandfather. I mean, you've got a heavyweight, you're leading a heavyweight cast, pun not intended. You know, and you got some great stellar people supporting you in there. I'll say, you know, because you obviously are the leaders, Jem. So you've got like Russell Crowe, you've got Ray Winstone, you've got, you know, Julian Glover, Jodhi May. You've got such a stellar cast. How hard was it to get those involved as well? Because I mean, I think that's, you bring those people like that on board as well, and it must be so immense to work with people, you know, like Russell and Ray as well.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you know, we got Martin Kosak, who's amazing. We got Stephen Burkhoff. We got, you know, we got loads of real life fighters as well. Julius Francis, who fought Mike Tyson, Joe Egan, Michael McCall. So it was, I mean, look, it was a again, going back to the never give up attitude. It was a dream. I had a dream list of people, and just didn't stop until they all said yes. I mean, some people were easier than others because some were friends. I'd already done a film with Julian before, Julian Glover, who's a very, very, very dear friend. Love him to bits. So, he was immediate yes. Pulled in some favors of friends and people that I knew. And then, slowly climbed up the ladder. Jodhi was incredible as my mother and a really, really amazing woman to work with. And just Marton Kosak just blew everyone away. He just walked onto a scene and just lit it up. He was incredible. And then, having someone like Ray play the trainer who just perfect for the role, trying to get, a sort of rowdy East London trainer in the,
you couldn't pick better typecasting than Ray Winstone.
Yeah, Ray was almost too good. We almost didn't look at him because he said, he's too good. And he's too obvious. But, he said yes. And he knew who my dad was as well. He actually knew my dad,
brilliant
friend. So there was like a little connection there. And then, the grandfather role was such a nice textured role to play. It's still one of my favorite characters. And, being able to get Russell was just just the icing on the cake. I mean, all the cast was so good. And not just so good, but so fitting for the role. You see some cast members and you see them play specific roles and you kind of get, okay, they've just done that for the money or they've done that because, it's typecast or whatever. These actors and actresses playing these roles are just, they're just perfect. And, my sister, Lucy Martin plays my sister as well. So she's incredible. Just incredible cast, but just didn't stop until they all said yes. A couple of them said no a couple of times. And just kept going back,
Persistence.
Passion and persistence, changing the goalposts, making something work for them that wasn't working before, just never giving up. So I feel very lucky in that. And they're all really great, which is, a nice bonus.
Fantastic. I think Mike McKell's been on my show as well before as well with his daughter. That another film we did as well, which is and I say he's a great, yes. I was like, that's why the entire, when I was reading down the list of the cast, I was just like, wow.
Yeah, you just got to keep going. You can just keep going on the IMDb and you'll be like, wow, okay. And each one has a little history. Joe Egan, Like I said, Julius Francis fought Mike Tyson in 2000. Yeah. Joe Egan was Mike Tyson's sparring partner. Michael McKell's done a ton of stuff. Very close friend, Michael, very loyal, and at the beginning. So it's just feel very, very, very fortunate. We've got Nolene Kaminsky in it as well, who's a very dear friend. So so it's a mixture between a lot of friends and people that, that we just really wanted and perfect for the role.
Fantastic. I mean, you said you became a boxer for 4 years as well. I mean, that's called method acting,
It is, yeah. It was a bit extreme because I was coming home training and getting back bruised ribs and broken nose, all this kind of stuff. And people just thought I was mental. They're just like, why are you training for this film, which you don't even know it's happening? You don't know if you're going to play the lead. So I had to rely on doing a lot of stuff on my own. I hope it gets easier because, when you're doing your own training and your own diet and your own, you've got to manage yourself while, doing a million other things. It's tricky. I can't wait for the films to come calling, which say, we've got a personal trainer for you, or you don't need to worry about your diet.
Yeah.
So
I know what it's like. I mean, 10 years ago when I was 35, 36, I started pro wrestling because I thought I'd just try and get a bit fitter. So actually, probably like the American wrestling. And I actually got fit enough. I could jump the top rope in one leap, and I was doing somersaults in the mid ring, and I was at that my age. I was like, the others were all like 17, 18, if that. So I was doing, springing off the, really, really good stuff until I fell out the ring one day. I fell head first. The ropes were loose. I fell through the ropes, smashed my leg up, and ended up losing me one of my quad muscles. It retracted in on itself, and that's what my career. But yeah, it is the effort, like you say, the diet and the effort. So I mean, that was just for me, personal side of things, a very personal gain. So to do that for a film is very, very dedicated to get that in. But again, it's something you keep with you. It's a skill then you've picked up and you can learn and you can take that and keep that.
Yeah, you know what? It was the only thing that kept me alive and sane as well. Having a stressful day at a computer and then being able to go and box was just a huge sense of relief and release. So it was great. It saved me in many ways, and I love the sport for it.
Fantastic. I mean, I've seen the pictures as well of you and your dad. You mentioned before how much you look like him, and you've got on the publicity thing, Sam. You've got the one of your dad, I think in 1982, was it?
Yeah.
And then you've got obviously you, and I couldn't tell the difference, to be fair. Yeah. I was just like, whoa, that is actually really scarily the same.
It's bonkers how much we look alike. It's crazy.
Excellent. And so, I mean, obviously moving on to the film, obviously Prizefighter, is it released now, is it? Or is it, when's it?
It comes out July 22nd on Amazon.
Brilliant. Excellent. I'm a Prime member, so I'll be getting that one as well. So obviously is that worldwide, is it? Is it
it's
on Prime?
UK and US.
Okay.
There's a bunch of territories sold rest of the world, which are different.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. So to be fair, to open, on Amazon on that wider scale as well is, that's what I love about the new platforms. I mean, I think they've evolved so much in the last few years. So you can make yourself, you get a film like, Prizefighter, or you can put something on like Amazon or Netflix or, any of the major Netflix streaming sites now. And you've got so much more option, I think, as a filmmaker to be able to get your product viewed and get it out there and get that wider audience visible. Because I think people are doing that a lot more now, I think, than
yeah, I mean, it's a good way. It's one of the distributors said to me in Cannes recently, just said, look, when your film comes out, it's going to be seen by millions of people in that week. It's going to be seen by millions of people, and it's a nice thing. It's not been easy and it's been tough, and I think it's still hasn't settled with me yet, because I've just been non-stop on the film at all. So it's a really weird feeling to have, but it's going to be good when it's out.
Excellent. And that's July 22nd. We can see that on Amazon then.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Right. I'm going to sort of wrap this up in a way now, because I think it's fascinating hearing the story. I actually love it. I can't wait to see it, to be honest. I like myself a good boxing movie. And I say, talking to you now, I love, this is why I love doing this, because it really, what's the word? Brings the film, so that's more than one word, but it's like it brings the film more to life for me, knowing the story, and then hearing the story behind it, to actually go in there. So when it comes on, I can sit down, I'll be able to watch it and go, okay, and I'll and pinpoint those bits and pieces. So it's
I think fascinating. It makes it. It just adds that extra bit of heart, importance, and kind of human, feeling and emotion to it. And, you go back and you compare Rocky. Rocky was a huge success. A big part of Rocky's success was the story behind the making of it.
Yeah.
Gave up. So I hope that, people see this and understand what's going on. It's because, you can watch a film and, if people don't enjoy it or something's missing, they don't realize what it took just to even get that on screen.
Yeah.
Let alone make any good. So, I'm really proud of this, and there's a lot of real fight sequences, and the acting's great, and the story holds up. So I'm really proud of it. I mean, the fight sequences are, hand on heart, some of the best that you're going to see. They're so real. The end fight is as real as it gets. So can't wait. You have to.
Oh yeah. I'll say, if you've got all the guys who fought Tyson and his sparring partner, and they can't get any more realistic than that, can they?
Yeah. Pretty intense.
Fantastic. Is there anything before I sort of stop the recording for people you want to push out and get them to say to everyone who's watching or listening?
Just follow the journey. I think follow all the social media, because we're releasing quite a few, key elements to the journey, the story, the making of the film. And it's not just about the making of the film. I think we're releasing and talking about and sharing a lot of life experiences and human things that various people have gone through the making of this film, mainly myself, and how to overcome and stick with something and keep your passion and drive and dream in life, and kind of proving that if you do that, then you can you can kind of make anything happen, which sounds a bit corny, but it's true. So it'd be great for people to keep up to date with, everything that we're doing on Camelot Films and the social media side. And obviously, watch the film, and hopefully everyone enjoys it. And that's about it.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.